Good evening, everyone. I believe I am live. Okay, yes. So sorry about that delay there. Got a few things blocking a few things. But hello, this is Jean and Danielle is with me, and this is our Wednesday tip demo Wednesday. And it is the new series for hand quilting step by step, where I will be teaching Danielle how to hand quilt. And those of you that are interested in following along will also get the opportunity to get some tips and learn or brush up on your hand quilting skills as we go along in this series, which this is the first of possibly 3 is what I have planned. If it takes a 4th, we will. If it only takes 2, that's what it'll be, but we will see how it goes along and how Danielle does and how all the rest of you do. And one thing I would like to mention real quick that I did right before going live is I did put in the description box of the live, and I'm sorry for the way to be able to get the file in there. It comes out with all that long gibberish, but it is a PDF file for hand quilting step by step, the supplies needed for all 3 sessions. So you will have that information and you can refer back to that, because I knew as I went along after I did that, I thought, oh, there's going to be a lot of questions and repetition on that. So that is a PDF for any of you interested that you'll be able to click on and download it, print it if you need it, that. But so we have that taken care of. But welcome. Let me quickly say hello to some of you in the chat before we get started, and then we will see what Danielle has to say. But welcome, Stir. It is great to see you, and I love that I have to be front row center for this lesson. Looking forward to since I heard. You always bring it, Jean. Well, might have to be aware of what I might bring sometimes, but thank you. Thank you, Stir. And she is also one of the channel supporters and a member of the Stitching Friends. And Beverly is here. Hello, hello. And she is also a member of the Stitching Friends. Vicki Rumsey, I don't think I have seen you before, but welcome, welcome. It is great to see you. And who's that Danielle showing up there? She says, hey, everyone, get ready for some fun. But so Danielle, go ahead and introduce yourself real briefly, and we will get on with things.
Everybody, so Donnell with Donnell Stitchery here, and this is my adopted mama, Mama Jean.
Yeah.
So I've been asking her questions previously about doing hand quilting, and she's been coaching me. And well, a couple weeks ago, we were just brainstorming on a tip demo Wednesday for her on ideas and all, because she was coming up blank and I was working. So we were brainstorming and we came up with this idea. So everybody that's looking forward to it, you're welcome.
And you could go ahead and share about that little package you got before we did this brainstorming that kind of led to it too, if you'd like.
Oh, a few of the supplies.
Yes.
So as a early birthday present and everything, Shiton was kind enough to send me some of the supplies I need, like such as the little hoop or curved pins I'll need for sandwiching my items. And then this big gorgeous hoop that works perfectly as a necklace too, if you really want. And then there was, so I also do quilted jackets, and I have a clear box left over from my zippers that I buy off of Amazon, which works beautiful for holding a pair of snips that I already had. But then the Coats and Clark hand quilting thread, which by the way, I've already messed around with this a little bit, and let me tell you, this stuff is waxy and it is way thicker than a normal cotton thread that I use for my hand sewing. A cute little thimble for my finger to protect my fingers, and some itty bitty teeny tiny needles.
Yep, quilting needles are smaller than what you normally use. So
I was trying to put the hand quilting thread through the eye of the needle. Oh my gosh.
you'll
I
get
thought I was
used
going
to
to
it.
have to call a surgeon.
You can see it being the heavier weight in the wax, it actually goes through the eye of the needle easier when you get used to it because it's not flopping around. But but you'll that just takes practice. You'll get used to it and use a needle threader, when you can't get it. But let's continue on. Okay, now where I left off in the chat, we've got Patty B. She says, "Hi all, looking forward to this." Thank you, Patty. Carol Hofstetter says, "Hello everyone. Welcome, welcome." Carol Rouchot is here. She is also one of the Stitching Friends, supporter of the channel. And Carol Hufster says, "We'll be watching from the TV, so no more chatting for me. Let's quilt." Okay, let's get to it. Kathy Rouse is here also. She is also a member of the Stitching Friends. Oh, they are all out in force this evening. Donna Hoffler
Yes.
here. She says, "Hi, Jean," and all in chat. Michelle's Crafts and More is here. Hello, Michelle. Loretta Blevins is here. Hi, ladies. Anxious Waiting. She is also one of the members and a Stitching Friend. Debbie Williams is not only a personal friend and one that actually gets to come personally in person to the Stitching Cottage, but she is also a member and one of the Stitching Friends. She says, "Hello, Jean, niece
Auntie
Donna,
Debbie.
and everyone in the chat." And June Hansen is here. She says, "Hi, Jean and Danielle." Hello, June. And I believe that is it. And the rest are saying hello to each other. So, is everybody ready to find out the step-by-step basics of hand quilting? Because I know Danielle is. And
Yes.
and in my previous tip demo Wednesday, I believe it was, when I showed some of the things that you are going to need for this. So those of you that are following along hopefully do already have some of that, which I had said that you will need 2 squares of fabric, one that you will be using for your top, and you want that to be 6 inches larger than the size of your hoop. That is so that you have extra to be able to put it in the hoop correctly and be able to work to the edges of your quilt, which would normally be working on a quilt, going to be working on a practice pieces for this. And then you also want a bottom layer that you're using for, which would be the back of your quilt. And you want that to be 8 inches larger than the size of your hoop. I put the top on there, but it's your hoop. You want it 2 inches larger than what you cut your top one from, is what that means. But yeah, I see that that's a little typo in there that should say size of your hoop, not size of your top. Okay.
Whoopsies.
Well, it's the same. It would be the same. It would work out the same. Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, either way. Mine's not clicking in there. And then you want your batting, which you want a thin loft batting, and you want that to be 8 to 10 inches larger than the size of your top square. And then, of course, you're going to need your hand quilting hoop. And I showed how you measure the right size of the hoop for you in my tip demo Wednesday, talking about this, which you go from the bend of your elbow and you don't want it past your fingertips because that's all wasted space because you're not going to be able to reach it anyway. So that's how you go for the size of your hoop. So the majority of the sizes of hoops that you're going to find and that you will use in hand quilting
Perfect.
going to be, yeah, is going to be anywhere from the 12-inch to the 16-inch. Anything smaller, you're going to have to be moving your hoop all the time. You're not going to be happy with that unless, of course, you're doing something miniature. Anything larger than 16, you're not going to be able to reach. You're going to have to rehoop it to reach that area anyway. Okay. And then, of course, that is what we are going to need for this evening. And you are also going to need your marking tools, which normally you would need things of depending on the color of your quilt top for judging what you need for marking. And I use the pencil the majority of the time. If the pencil will show up at all, that is always my first choice because that one I know removes and comes out in the wash, as long as you don't use a heavy hand when you are marking your quilt. You might have a little problem then. But if you use the quilter's lead mechanical pencils like the Soline or the Bone, which Donnell has also, then you should have no problem with that. And the Soline does also make an eraser, a refillable one that you can get.
Ooh, I'm gonna have to get that.
But my other personal favorite when it is darker fabric is the General's white chalk. I love that one. Have many of those. I buy it by the not the case, but the the
Yeah.
12 or whatever that it comes in. And then sometimes you will also need the air soluble disappearing ink. The one thing you want to make sure is, like tonight, if we were marking this with that, Danielle could come back in tomorrow and it would be a plain top that she'd go, well, I know I marked it. Where'd everything go? It disappears. That's why it's called disappearing. It only lasts for a certain amount of time, and depending on the humidity and everything in your room, it can disappear very quickly sometimes. So you don't want to use that and mark your quilt and think you're coming back the next day, and it could be all gone. So just to keep that in mind on that. And then, of course, you are going to need tonight a long, narrow ruler. You are going to need stencils if you have them, an applique template. I've got some that, I mean, we will be using, but yours doesn't have to be identical to it. And for the one stencils that I'm using, you will be able to use instead, if you have a small, right around, no larger than 5-inch round, a little bowl or a little plate, you will be able to use that instead of the stencil. But you might want something that you can mark the halfway point on your diameters of what you are using. You can just use a piece of tape if you don't want to write on it, but I happen to have, and what I'm talking about and referring to in that, this is actually from dog food. Little empty container. I bring them out because I put my beads and stuff in it when I'm doing embellishing for slow stitching projects and stuff. But see, I was able to mark on the back of that, the halfway point, so I can line that up when I would
And
use
I'll be
that as
using the bottom of my thread, my large thread spools, the thing that I use for my sewing machine.
we went over a few things that she would need to see if she had them before we came on, and she's looking around the room and goes, oh, it's like, yeah, that'll work. Okay. Oh, make sure I don't miss anything here, and I haven't. So what we need to do first is not have anything layered. You're only going to be using the top square of fabric this evening for the first part. We will see if we get into the actual layering and basting of it. But, and Danielle did, and I, as I would have told her, is to go ahead and press that through the middle, the one direction, and then press it through the other direction so that it ends up in 4 sections, because we are going to be learning 3 different ways, different types of marking for the quilt. And we're going to learn, then how to hand quilt those sections according to the way that it is marked. And sometimes it's
Debbie goes in. Sometimes
yeah,
it's a
that's
disappearing
because
pen.
yeah, Debbie called it well, she couldn't find her disappearing pen. It's what she called it instead of, so she always jokes about that. Yeah. Your pen can end up disappearing too. Very frequently that happens. But I am going to turn on my other camera here if I can find it also. There we go, which you will see this that I happen to have under here just to show as an example also of types of things that are good for if you're first learning to quilt. I know it looks hard, but it's not. This is a from the stencil company, and it is already comes printed this way. You cannot use an iron on it. It is done with a chalk and type that if you iron, that marking is there permanently. It's not going to come off. I can rub it. None of this is going to come off. I've had it. But when you rinse it in water, all that marking will remove, and all that'll be left is your hand quilting. But that is what I will probably be quilting along on as I show this, just because it gives a little bit more interest. And it's a cute little project for Christmas that I thought, oh, if I start this
It
now,
is
maybe
so
I'll actually get to
pretty.
use it this Christmas. And just to give you an idea, because this is a wreath in here with leaves, and then it's got the leaves in the corner and the holly berry, and it's got the different crosshatch in between there. I'm going to be using this variegated green thread. I
So
could
pretty.
I could spotlight that, but I'm not going to separately right now because then I'd have to do each one of us separately. And I'm going to be using a red thread for all the cross hatching so it blends into there and just gives the depth and design of that, doesn't stand out. That'll make the green leaves and the wreath and everything stand out when that is quilted. But that is what I will be using during this. And so what the first step that you need to do, and Donnell has already done that in the matter of saving time, is to mark a 1-inch border in all the way around your top piece of fabric. And that is because that would be just like that was the outer portion of your quilt top where you aren't going to quilt beyond that. And you will need that for marking when you go to mark too, so you know where to line up and where you're marking from, which in the top left corner is the first one that we are going to be doing. And we are going to be doing a cross hatching pattern in that. And so you will start by drawing a diagonal line both directions like a big X through that square. And that will be your guideline for marking the rest of the cross hatching. And that's just straight line quilting. That's why it'll be the first one that we'll be doing and then go on to others from there. So once you have the X going right through the center, you are going to take your long ruler and you are going to lay the 1-inch line on that first one. And then you are going to mark all the way across from the edge of that square to where you have your folded mark there. And I did draw a pencil line on my pressed lines to mark that off also. I see that, Donnell.
Okay.
You can go ahead and mark that. Makes it a little easier than then you've got the definition there on each one of the squares.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, and if anybody doesn't have a long enough ruler, I'm just using my Stripology ruler as an idea for you guys that fits perfectly on a 22 by 22 piece of fabric.
And you're going to go all the way one direction to the corner with that and then come back the other from the center on that, going all that direction first. So, and you want to get at least half of that section done and then turn and go the other way so you'll see the crosshatch and have the idea of how to do that, Donnell. Because you can have homework and finish the rest of it before next week.
Yes, ma'am.
We'll see how long it takes. You can always go back and finish that if we have the time. But if you do one half of the section all that way, then you can draw your lines going the other direction all the way through. It works the same. And you want
You
to
said
make
1 inch
sure,
apart
as I
from each
told
other,
her, you
right?
want to make sure that you use a light, a light touch when you are marking that. You don't want a heavy line that you're going to have a problem getting out later.
Yeah, you did say 1 inch apart, right?
1 inch apart. Yep.
Okay, say before I start marking.
Yep. 1 inch.
And I'm going to change my camera to the desktop one so that way there everybody can see what I'm doing in case they
Right.
need
Very
reference.
good. Which hers isn't marked like mine is. So I had to work ahead. So there is a different design in each quadrant. Yes, that is so that we can teach the hand quilting when it's a straight line, when we can teach when it is a curved line or going around applique. There will be different ones in each quadrant that um, shows how you quilt when you are doing those different designs. All the stitching is the same. It's just the quilt design that is different. And if you have an applique top, I will be showing how you would quilt around that applique, or possibly even some people quilt on their applique. It's all a matter of preference on that. And then also be showing some it's not a clamshell, or I can't think of the other one name for that, an old-fashioned one, but it's similar. So showing how to be able to mark that and also quilt that type of curve. And then there will also be one that is a stencil for marking a stencil and actually quilting something that is stenciled on your quilt. And then I have in the back samples of quilts that are already quilted with using those methods so you can see how that does look once you're done with that. And Nancy from Our Treasured Home is here. Welcome, Nancy. She is also a member of the channel and one of the stitching friends. Also, Joyce Hernandez is here joining us this evening too, and she is also one of the stitching friends, member of the channel. And June Hansen says hello to them, and Nancy is saying hello, and Debbie from Quilt is here. Hello, Debbie, my
Hello,
sister.
hello.
Jean and baby Donnell's down there. She's a hand model right now. But she's down there marking, getting at least half of that section marked. And then before we go on to the next one and show how to do that. And Melody Kiefer is here. We're not doing a drunkard's path. No, 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 no. Good one there. You would come up with that, wouldn't you, Debbie?
My stitching might wind up looking like it though.
No, it's an old-fashioned quilting, not a quilt block. It's a
Oh, okay.
design that you do very often in the old the old one. A lot of people still do it. It's a great quilting design and a good fill for when you can't decide. You know, I love that term, quilt as desired. Somebody needs to invent what quilt as desired is, but they need to have a design out for that. So people go, but I don't know how I want to quilt it. Oh, and she's got that little laugh sign there. But while Donnell is still doing some of that, have you got half done? You're almost done with the whole square, aren't you?
I'm going this direction. I am doing
Okay.
the
Because
last little bit, and then
when
I
you're done
decided to
going
flip it
that
and do the other way
direction,
real quick. Huh?
when you're done doing that direction, you just turn it and go the other direction, and that's what from your other side of the X
Yep,
out,
which
and
is now I'm doing now.
that's what makes it the diamond crosshatch. But I have a quilt back here that I will show you how that looks in a quilt when that is done.
That
And I
is so
think I will
pretty.
go ahead and try and spotlight this so it shows better.
It is so pretty.
I'm gonna remove your hand model there for just a second, Danielle. I'll bring you back,
Okie dokie.
but we'll wait for that to hopefully focus a little better. I might have to lift it up a little closer to the camera, I guess. I will try and do that. I've got other
Yeah, that
stuff.
looks good right there. I can see it really good.
There you go. You can see it better there. But that is how that cross hatching appears on a quilt after you have done that. A very beautiful, a very easy because it's just straight line quilting throughout your quilt. And I have to watch when I move here because of course I have a whip underneath my feet. That's where he likes to lay. So I always have to look so I don't roll my chair over him.
It's his way of keeping close track of his mama.
And sometimes he puts his head right on the wheels of the chair. So, but
That silly boy.
okay, looking to see if I missed. And Carol says, will you share the link where you got the wreath piece from again, please? It is called, yeah, it's which is right there, the stencil company, and it's www.quiltingstencils.com. And I will add that in the description box after the live is over also, Carol. So it will be there. And I'm not sure, I mean, they probably don't have this one anymore. I've had it for a long time. And I mean, I don't know how many stencils the stencil company still does anymore in the whole cloth ones. Whole cloth ones are getting harder and harder to get. So good luck is what I will just say on that. I have a couple others and one more big Welsh type one to do. And then that will probably be the end of my whole cloth quilts. Thank you. June. And also Beverly saying very pretty. Let me see. I thought I saw somebody. Yes, Lorraine wasn't in here before. I was going to say, I thought I saw somebody I hadn't said hello to already. Welcome, welcome, Lorraine. Great to see you. Oops, and let me add Donnell back in here. You can listen to me and we'll watch her and keep this view up for a while until I need, well, I need to add. Oops.
And I am almost done with my
There we
crosshatch.
go. We're all back.
Yay! My
Oh,
crosshatch is
it's just
almost
I can't
done.
see your other lines. I was going to say that looks like mighty big crosshatch, but just can't see your other lines on there.
You told me to do them light, and man,
I
I'm
know.
telling you, some of my light ones have even been a little bit of a struggle for me
Just
to
make, I
see.
mean, do it. You want to do it light-handed, but you want to have it that you'll be able to see it when you are quilting.
But I can see it when I move the ruler away, just trying to see through the ruler
Right,
on it.
right. Yep.
I'm like, oh, I keep having to move the ruler. I'm like, am I on it?
And the reason that we are marking before we layer and baste is because if you can, you always want to mark the design on your quilt top before you layer it. It's much easier to mark if you were for hand quilting. And of course, machine quilting, if you were going to mark something on it that you're doing free motion on, you would want to mark it before you layer it because you don't have the bulk of the batting and everything there that kind of distorts your quilting diagram. Are you done with that?
Yep.
Okay, so now Danielle has a heart template, which would be for applique or whatever. And that is what we are going to put in the center of the next square section. And you can, if you, it doesn't have to be the exact, you can eyeball it, get as close to that center as you can, but you are going to want to trace around that heart. And we are going to pretend that that is an applique heart in that block when we go to hand quilt that.
And if anybody wants to know, I got this heart template from Dollar Tree, and it came in a pack of 3. I use them a lot and everything, so for cutting out nice proportionate hearts.
And mine's a good old June Taylor that I've probably had for over 20 years. So it comes in the set that has all the different sizes that go along with it. But that is what I used. And it's got the little center marked down there for you when you're lining that up on other stuff. And that's all you have to put in that one. And I'm going to show you what we will be doing. The reason for that one is we are going to be showing how you do echo quilting. And the back of that, you will actually quilt right around your heart, but then you will be doing a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch, echoing that all the way out to the outer edges of your um, project, which I have an example here of some of that on the flower petals. You can see that that is done echo quilting on these little boxes. And I don't know if you can see that or whether I need to.
You can see it really good, especially on the petals.
Okay, but that is a form of echo quilting, but this is big stitch quilting instead of regular quilting. So that's why it's done with embroidery floss instead of hand quilting thread. So it's showing up. But then on an actual quilt, this is all done echo quilting around the applique on this. Oops, as I knock my stuff on over. But that gives you an idea of what that looks like, and that's too light, so I am going to have to. I am going to have to. Uh, oops. If I figure out how I want to do this. I'm not finding the button I want.
And while she's looking for that button, hi, Lori. Hi, Jen. Hi, Kathy. Hi, Lorraine.
Okay, now I know which one it is.
And everybody else I missed.
There we go. Okay. Now that's showing up really, really bright, not even the right color at all, but that's all right. And I will try and lift that so you can see the echo quilting that goes around the applique. On that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can see the indentations of where the threading is and all,
With
or the stitching.
the tiny little stitches on there.
Yes, the itsy bitsy little bitty baby stitches.
But that is what we will be doing around that. And then there is a heart on the very middle of this. And you will see that I did actually echo quilt inside that heart also. Oops, wrong direction.
Oh
There we go.
yeah.
So that's all a personal choice on whether you want to quilt on top of your applique or not. But that is what you will be learning in that section of the hand quilting. And we'll remove this out of our way. And then in the next one, we are going to go on the bottom right-hand section now. And this is where similar, it's not a clamshell, it's not Baptist fan. That's what I was thinking of, is the other quilt design that uses a curve like this. That's a very common design. But this is done from a stencil that I have. It was this stencil that I used for marking that. And I just centered it on there and went right on those lines out. And you can see that you can reline a stencil up if you find out you don't have it marked well enough for you to see. But you use, when you do a stencil, you use your pencil just the same way, and you go in all those little marks that are on the stencil and mark that on there. But what Donnell is going to do instead, because not everyone will have a stencil, that's where your little bowl is going to come in. And you're going to mark the halfway mark, and you're going to line that up on the bottom line of your corner and your other, and you're going to trace just halfway around your bowl. And then you will move the up on the mark and do the next, which you will want to start. I was going to say it won't matter. You just turn it around. Yeah. But you can do it that way. And then the next one, you will lay those little halfway marks you had on the curve of the other and continue up. And you can mark that way. So does anyone have any other questions so far in how we are marking this and the reasons why it is being marked as it is for teaching purposes? And Kathy says, great tip. I never thought of marking first before making my sandwich. Yes. It really doesn't, if you're machine quilting and you don't worry about it as much because you aren't usually marking your design on, you're doing it free motion or whatever. But if for some reason you are using a stencil or something, even on machine quilting, you want to do that before you layer it. You don't have all the batting and all that is in the way, and it makes it harder. And your pencil, your marking tool wants to penetrate through your fabric very easily when you do that, especially when you're using a mechanical pencil. But much easier to do before you layer it. And I'm sorry, I forgot to bring Donnell back in.
It's okay. I'm over here marking my
Oh,
thread.
well, it's like all we see is the corner of your fabric there right now. Say, Danielle's not there anyway. Oh, that was funny. It's like, where'd she go? She decided to. There, we're all there now. That was funny.
I
How
was
do
like,
you
well,
feel
well, I'm
about
not spotlighted or anything. I'm like, then I'll go ahead and come over here and do this.
Carol is asking, how do you feel about spray basting? For machine quilting, yes. For hand quilting, no. You will not have a good time using spray basting for hand quilting. It's your needle doesn't go through the same way as that speed of a machine, and you will not be a happy camper. Let's just put it that way, because it's stiff, it makes it denser. It's just not fun trying to hand quilt through spray basting.
Okay, so this is going to be going into which section on the bottom?
The bottom right hand section, right below your heart.
Okay.
Right below your heart. You're like, and Danielle's got an awesome heart. So,
Aw,
oh, good.
a heart that only a mama could love.
Oh no, I think anybody could love your heart, but and you can just Mark, we're not going to start the whatever. So if you just want to get the gist of getting that started,
Yeah. And
and
everybody,
then,
what I did is I try and just measured this here from side to side on my curved sides, and then I figure out where the halfway point is and took a Sharpie and made a tiny little mark so that on each side, so that right there I know where my halfway points are.
yeah, just like that, because that's how you'll line it up to have the half circles. It will help in guiding you as you do that anyway. The stencil comes in a lot handier, but which the stencil company is where you can get a lot of stencils and some still of the whole cloth quilts. So, and you can see that I have a lovely Christmas fabric for my backing on this that happens to have the holly leaves the same as what's on the pattern on the top here. So I thought that was
Ooh,
awesome to
pretty.
use for the backing on that. But I will go ahead while you are doing that because we are not going to my last one, I think as you can see here, is a rose stencil. But that last section, for those of you that are following around, that will be your choice in what you want to put there because not everyone has a lot of stencils or anything. So you can either repeat one of the other things that we've done, or if you have a stencil or want to draw something, that is what you will be doing in that section. And this is the stencil that I used on mine for tracing that there. And I can't even tell you where I got that stencil from, but my guess is that it was probably in Amish country in Ohio, one of the shops there, because they have a lot of stencils for hand quilting. Either there or when Daisy Barrel used to be in existence in a town close to where I live, but they are no longer there. But so that last square will be your choice, whatever you want to put in there that you, from doing the others, you think, oh, okay, I prefer this type of being able to hand quilt this way. So we will leave that up to the individual's preference on that.
The quilter's choice.
Quilter's choice. It's one of those quilt as desired ones. Oh, I'm going to lay that out of the way. And because we are talking, and there is his head right underneath my chair, makes it very difficult sometimes for moving. But this is a bigger quilt, so I'm going to stand up because it's heavy. Oh, to show this one, the majority of this quilt, the border and the blocks inside, and I even made my own template for part of this one.
Okay, Stir wants to know, have you ever used Pounce Pad Gizmo for stenciling, and if you're and your thoughts if you have.
Yes, I have. I know a lot of people use it, a lot of people like it. I do not. I have it. I have used it a couple of times. I do not like it. It is messy. Sometimes it doesn't remove like it says it'll remove. It gets on spots of your quilt that you don't want it on your quilt. It's just messy. I just do not like it.
To me, it seems like if
But
it would
that's
rub
just,
off easily whenever you're trying to maneuver your hands and everything while doing this.
yeah, it's just, and you have to have, you can't, they have special stencils that are made for the pounce. So yeah, it's just, like I say, that's just my personal preference. It doesn't mean that you wouldn't like it, Stir, or somebody else. It's just I do not. If somebody was asking me, I would say don't waste your money on it. But it's totally, that's somebody else will go, oh, I use it all the time and I love it. So it's one of those things. But yeah, that's just my opinion from using it. I do not like it. And I would not ever, I myself, having known and quilted with chalks that are other than white, I will never ever use a chalk that is a colored chalk because some of them sometimes can be a nightmare to remove. So just a warning on that too. And especially, but anyway, I was going to show this one that is a stencil. And, and while she is marking that, I will go ahead and see if I can. Oh, I have to remove this way. Move instead. Oh,
I
sometimes
got booted
I have
again,
to figure it
peeps.
out. Yes, I'm sorry, but this is a big one to try and get in here and show. But you can see the border in there that was done with a cable stencil all the way around the border. And then the block itself, which the corners and stuff is done with another stencil lined up just on the corners of the main block. I think you can see that. And then inside the block itself is where I actually designed that stencil myself to give the movement on the pinwheel parts of the block there.
Sorry.
But so that is all done. And then you have the bigger one, which should show the entire, if I hold it still. Yeah, the stencil that's in the block in between there. But that shows, oops, and I'm caught on my camera mount there. So that shows the forms, and I knocked stuff off, and I gotta get that picked up quick, or some little doggy won't get into that.
No, not Mr. Whip.
And June says she doesn't like it either.
Very sorry. Be a good
Uh,
boy.
and Carol says, this is a crazy question. What do you sharpen your general chalk pencils? Mine always break. I have an electric pencil sharpener, and that is what I sharpen mine with, or just a regular pencil sharpener. They do have chalk ones also, but they're usually for the bigger chalks instead of the smaller. But just a regular pencil sharpener works just fine. I have a school one that I keep in my little hand quilting kit that I'm adding you back, Donnell, just fair
Okay,
warning.
dokie. And I
Okay.
got that all completely done in that corner.
Very good. Okay. So very good. We are going to be able to go on to getting it ready to be layered and basted then. Except you
Alrighty.
don't, well, wait, you don't have your other part. Do you have all of those three sections completely marked? It's just
Yes.
just the one that you
Yep,
don't?
it's just the one here that I need to still do.
Mm. You have any idea what you're going to do for marking in that one?
I have some quilted you go Daisy and Grace hexagons. I'm thinking about just doing in this section here. Do you want me to go ahead and grab it and do
Yeah,
this
if you
section
want to
really
do
quick?
that real quick, because then we'll be able to go ahead and start layering and basting it.
Okay, doke.
Since you got that far, that's good.
You
uh
know what? I didn't even think about it, Mom. I could have used my protractor for that over
you
here.
could have, but that's all
I didn't
right.
even think about it until just now, until I just opened my drawer and found it.
Well, I tried to come up with something that everybody would have. Not everybody has a protractor.
Yeah, I don't even know where this even came from or
They
how it
do
got
have
in
a
my
little
drawer,
plate
but
or a little bowl or a little, butter leftover, one of them butter bowls or whatever, or a lid that you can always pull and use. So, and Stir says, thanks, does look messy. Yes. And sometimes you think you've got it pounced and it goes through and you lift your stencil and it's not, and getting that line to back up is not always fun. The color anyway. Okay. Yeah. Understand, June. And thank you, Nancy. She says that is pretty. And June says, very nice, Jean. Beverly, very nice. And Joyce, very pretty. Thank you very much. But yeah, if you have any other questions, feel free to ask them as we go along. And I am going to pull. You always need, and the way that I am going to be showing layering and basting this quilt, you can do on any surface with any size quilt. Just saying, it may take a little longer on a small surface, but it can be done. And especially if you have clamps or whatever, I don't. I'm going to be doing this little one here, but it is actually bigger than my mat that I have set up for it. So I'm going to have to to move it around and adjust it a little bit, but it will work. You don't have to have a great big area on it. I can't get on a floor. I have never basted a quilt on the floor. I have never been able to do that since the day I started quilting. So,
I done that one time.
yeah, no.
After that, I started using my bed.
No, if I tried to, get on the floor and do something, you'd have to bring in the forklift to get me back up afterwards. So not gonna happen.
Oh, that's
Just
not
getting,
good.
just getting down on the floor doesn't happen. So unless I, end up there, not purposely. We don't want that to happen either. So just saying. Oh, but I was going to, yeah, I was going to talk about batting, because I know some people do ask about the different battings, and especially for hand quilting, you want to use different than what you do for machine quilting. And you want which when you refer to the term loft, that determines the thickness of your batting. So you want a low loft batting. You want one that is thinner and less bulky. And you can use any of the ones that are out there. You just want to make sure that it's low loft, and you do not want one that has scrim. When you see that it has scrim, you don't want that for hand quilting. That's going to make hand quilting harder also. No pool noodles junk, I hope. No, I do not use pool noodles. I have used those to roll a quilt around and store it that way so you don't get the fold creases in it. But no, I do not use pool noodles for basting my quilts. That's a good one. I like that. That's funny. Okay. But you can use the polyester. It's not one of my choices, and I will explain why. But they are 100 you can use, yeah, polyester. You can use 100% cotton and a cotton poly blend. And then there are also, didn't used to be back in the older days, but now we have our wool, our bamboo, and our silk, which those are more pricey, you will find out. The con about using polyester on any type of quilting is it does have a tendency to what we call beard. It's called bearding. And what that is the fibers will migrate through the fabric to the outside of the quilt, and that never looks pretty on a quilt. So, but it has its place, and everything. So it is usable, but that is one of the things that can happen with polyester, and it is a poofier. It gives a lot of definition if you really want definition in your hand quilting, but that's just one of the things on that. Can you name a good quilting design for a table runner made with online half square triangles? What do you mean by online half square triangles? All lined up across from each other? I'm not sure. With only, okay, with only half square triangles. Well, you can use any quilting design whatsoever, but now if you're going to be hand quilting and it's got all half square triangles, the easiest way to do that is just to do a 1/4 inch in all the way around the inside of each individual half square triangle on both sides. That is how I would do it. That's the good old fashioned way, and a very easy way to do it. You don't even have to mark if you're good at judging your 1/4 inch. If you're not, they do make a 1/4 inch tape that you can use, and you don't have to mark it at all. And you can keep reusing the tape until it doesn't stick anymore, and then just tear another little piece. But but that is what I would do if it's got all half square triangles. You can do a curved also in the half square triangle part. Just do a little curve from line to line, and you can kind of do that so you can end up doing it continuously without having to start and stop if you plan it correctly. But that are the two that come to mind that is very common for doing in that. A very, very standard one for half square triangles. I hope that helped you stir. But on to the rest of the batting, which polyester is a cheaper batting, though, you will find. So if that comes down to your choice of it, that is, keep in mind there, it is cheaper. And then cotton will feel like a kind of a thick flannel, and it is light and breathable. And then there is the cotton blend, which is usually an 80-20 blend, 80% cotton, 20% polyester. And some of those are the ones that will have scrim. You want to make sure that you don't use one with scrim on it if you are hand quilting. It's going to make it harder to get the needle through. And then wool is an awesome choice for hand quilting. However, you do need to be aware that it does shrink. So if you are going to use it, try to get one of the ones that are pre-shrunk, and that will help. And you also have to keep in mind when using wool who it is going to, because there are a lot of problems with people having allergies to wool. So you want to keep that in mind, and it is also pricier. But the nice thing about it is warmer but lighter weight. It's nice and beautiful to hand quilt through because it is just like a hot knife going through butter. So you will fall in love with it if you do use wool. Um, Danster said, oh yes, hoping you would say that on the half square triangles. Okay. My favorites of battings for using for hand quilting is my number one favorite that I like is Quilter's Dream Cotton in the Request. They have different lofts, and I use the Request. That is the one that is for hand quilting. That is my all-time favorite. Then I also like Hobbs Heirloom 8020. It's sometimes getting to be a little harder to find. I know that Connecting Threads does carry that online. And then wool would be my other one that I will use for those special quilts because it is a little bit pricey. But those are my three favorites. So there, well, did I just see you erasing?
Yes.
Okay, that's good.
I was looking, I'm like, okay, that line is completely out of where it should be.
But
It
hopefully
wasn't it wasn't geometrically right for me. It was bugging me.
I gotcha. I understand that. And you are going to have to excuse me for one moment. I have to jump up and let a dog outside.
No worries.
There
So are
you
you
go.
guys enjoying this so far? Hey, Rita's Roost.
Hello, Rita. I have to let you know that I got my one package, not the one from just the other day, but I did get a package from you today, and my husband brought it to me and he says, that's heavy.
She was just talking about you and the package that you sent her earlier.
Yeah, it's a little bit on the heavy side. I guess that's a good thing. A good thing for you and a good thing for me, or maybe not. I have to find some place to put it now.
So
But
there is the geometric design I decided to do with my hexagon.
very nice. I like that. I like that. Okay, so now we are going to, and I guess I better add this camera back in here. We'll try to keep all of us in. We are going to show how to layer and pin baste this. I am a pin baster. I do not like thread basting. I think it takes longer. I don't like how it moves, and I don't like the threads being in my way while I'm quilting. Pins you can remove once it's in the hoop. Any of the pins that are in your way, you can take those out of the way, and you don't have anything in the way while you are hand quilting. So that is just my opinion on that. Go with,
Patty B
go with
said she had to erase hers too.
that happens. That's why they make those erasers that go with them. And Rita's laughing over the heaviness of the of the package. And the bad part is there's another one that is actually patterns and stuff from another shop that was on top of it that he didn't realize it's a little lighter weight only because it's got patterns in it instead of fabric. But and I think a couple needle minders. But anyway, from my favorite needle minder place. But Tracy, well, hello Tracy, I didn't see you pop in. This might be your first comment, but she is also one of the Stitching Friends member of the channel, and she says yes, such wonderful information. Thank you very much. I hope that everyone is getting a little bit of something out of this. So uh, okay. And I didn't see. Oh, there's Melody. Okay. I don't know whether I said hello to you earlier or not, Melody. If I missed you, I will say hello again. But I do have my smaller cutting mat underneath here. And I have one pin in here just because this, the batting that came with this is a little bit smaller than what I would normally use. And I was making sure that I do have that within where the outer part of my pattern that is marked on here is. But you are going to, and I'll wait until, are you ready, Danielle?
Yep, I'm ready. Just waiting for directions.
Okay. You are going to lay your backing down by itself first, wherever it is on the surface that you are going to be using. If you have a surface that it fits totally on, that will work better.
Same exact fabric.
Pardon?
I said same exact fabric.
But does it fit on your surface all the way
Yes.
around? Okay,
Not all the way, but
but pretty close.
yeah.
Okay,
This thing goes off a little bit here by like the length of
that's
my fingers.
that's okay because I'll show what you do. I'll show what you do with that because you want to make sure that at least the middle is there, but that so you have to where you can tape um the edges of that backing down. And what you are going to do with your painter's tape that I had you get, choo-choo, good old painter's tape, you are going to take and you are going to put tape on the outer edge of that in the center of that, your top edge of it. And you want to put that on there first before you do anything else,
Okay,
because that you're going to smooth from. You're going to put, like in the center and a couple on both outer edges of it also. Mine doesn't fit on here, so I can't do the corners. If you can reach the corners, put it around the corner. It doesn't have to be a big piece, just enough that's going to hold that fabric in place.
yep, just try and move my cords out my way so I can.
Which I'll go ahead and go to the corner so I can show. See, all you need to do is have a little piece that you're going to put on the corner, just like that, to hold that there. You're going to smooth, go across from that, and about halfway down. If it's a bigger quilt, you're going to do it more, of course, but you're going to put another piece of tape, and you're going to smooth as you go all the way to the other edge of your quilt, putting the tape down there. And once you have that, which your top and your batting should not be there yet because you're just doing that with your back portion, which I know that looks like it's the right side of my backing, but it's not. That's actually the wrong side.
Oh, wow.
And then you are going to do the same thing, making sure that it is taut going down both sides. And I can only go down one side because my other is off the thing, but I just need enough that it's holding it so that doesn't move and shift underneath while we are pinning.
Taping it to my desk drawer on the bottom portion.
Well, you're going to have to move that though, so don't tape it down.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You'll have to go to that and then you will have to untape and move it up. But
Okie dokie.
then you're going to take your batting and you're going to center that on your backing. See, this batting is small, but it has this excess on the red that I think after you're done quilting, you use that for your binding is how they want you to use this. So it's only going to the edge here. There is enough batting left there. But you are going to smooth your batting across and yep, center it like you're doing where you got it folded. And you want to smooth that all out nice and flat.
That is.
Yep, get as much of those wrinkles out as you can.
I should have pressed it
Oh,
first, but I didn't.
well, no, just stick it in the dryer is the best thing to do before you use a batting.
Oh, okay. I did not know that. I didn't know you could put the batting in the dryer.
Yep, just take it out of the packaging and whatever, throw it in the dryer, and that
I
would
use I
most of
usually
it.
sandwich it and then try and then iron over all 3 layers.
Oh, yeah, no, no. And now you are going to just smooth that. It should come to the edge of your mine doesn't, so I can't do the next step because of the way that they cut this. But it should come to the edge of your backing, correct?
Very close. Like I got like a little bit of a hangover.
Okay, but so you've got enough room that you can put tape on that the same way that you did your back.
Yes.
Yes. So you want to do that with your batting now, making sure that it's smooth. Like I said, I can't on this because my batting doesn't go all the way out there. It does on my on the other sample, but this fits on my mat better to be able to show.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Chat's not moving. I hope you're all still there.
They're probably busy taping.
Except I know that Fallon has started now. Some of you may have gone over there, which is just fine. There's always the replay. No worries there.
Yeah, it
But
shows on as on my other screen over here. It shows that there's still 30 people watching, so we still got some.
I can't see that screen on mine. We're over top of it.
But I have another device over here that where I keep mine up at. So
Yeah. Well, that device is my camera, so.
oh
And June says we are. At least you are, June. Are they all there watching from the same place you are? You all having a party you didn't invite us to? You're all viewing from the same location.
Yay!
Oh,
Where was my invitation?
I cannot begin to tell you. I'm just reminiscing now as I'm sitting here, wasting some time. Have you got that all taped down?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And now you are going to take your top and you are going to center it on those layers,
Okay. Make sure I got the right piece facing
which
upward.
it should be smaller than your backing and your batting.
Yep.
You
I
always
just
want
have to figure out where
extra,
my
you
center
always
was
want
again.
extra backing and batting beyond the edges of your quilt top. That's so for machine quilting, you need the excess to hold on to, and especially for long armors, they need that to be able to load it. And you need it to have that so you can get to the actual part that you want to quilt. So you have some hanging over to be able to put it in your hoop correctly. And now everybody's saying, I'm still here. I'm here too. Andrea, I didn't see you. Come on. Welcome,
She snuck
welcome.
in a little bit earlier and she's been quiet since she snuck in.
Okay, but she is also one of the awesome stitching friends. So welcome, welcome. Glad to see you are here. And Beverly's still here. Lorraine is still here. Carol is still here. And Melody is still here. Awesome. Thank you. It just sometimes gets a little worried when it's like, that chat's not moving at all. Am I sitting here all by myself right now, just
No,
chatting?
I'm here.
Oh, I know you're there, Danielle. Okay. Let me know when you got that all smoothed out there. Nice.
Am I taping this? Aw, man. Oh,
No,
well.
you're not taping the top down.
Okay.
Just the backing and the batting. The
Well,
top.
I laid mine down upside down, but that's okay.
You laid what upside down?
Where my bottom two squares are up here.
Oh, that won't matter because you don't have it, unless you don't have a directional backing. So
Nope,
it's
it's just a
there is
solid
there
white.
is no top and bottom at this point in time. It's just the way you're looking at it. It doesn't matter.
Well, I tried so hard to get it laid back down just the way I had it a few moments ago, and I open it up. I'm like, oh, poopy pants.
No, not going to matter. Not going to matter at all. And you are going to start in the middle of your quilt on the pin basting. Andrea says she is not feeling well today, so I'm quiet. I'm sorry, Andrea. I hope you get to feeling better. And Debbie says that she is here also.
I hope you feel better really soon, Andrea.
Carol says, what is Fallon? Fallon is So Be It Quilts. Her and her husband go live at 8 o'clock on Wednesday evenings. So,
Which is usually where you find me at.
and well, usually I would be over there too. So,
Yep.
yeah, I dropped some money with her the other day too. So it's on its way.
Yeah, I seen that message you sent me. I'm like, ooh.
Okay. I have my safety pins whoa, in an empty Parmesan cheese container so that I can, ooh, not, you don't want to, those might be a little bit in the way there. You put a few too many on there, Danielle. You might
Well,
want to,
I'm about to grab a pit, little spots or something over here to put them into. So,
and my safety pins are all open because you will find that when you use them, you don't want to close them. That wastes time having to open them up the next time you want to use them. So you put them away open, but you are going to start in the center of your quilt. And you are going to use the palm of your hand. Oh, you can leave some on your quilt there, like I just did.
well,
Shake
I
them
got
out.
them inside this little.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I grabbed another one of my little boxes I saved.
But I just shake them out on the top. But and you're going to want to put your safety pin in there. And the reason for that when you put it down, if you just stick your finger next to it, it automatically pops it up and you can pin it, which that one, I'm sorry, didn't show in the camera, but the next one will. And you're just going to be using the palm of your hand. Every once in a while, you get a safety pin that gets stuck on one, but and you want when you are pinning, you want so that when you lay your hand down, there is a pin that will be touching on both sides of your hand. You don't want them any farther apart than that. So as you are smoothing it out, you can kind of judge where the next one needs to go. And you are working from that center out straight up to the top in a vertical row to begin. And you're smoothing it, making sure everything stays nice and smooth as you go. They do make a tool for closing the safety pins. I have one. I was going to get it out just to be able to show it. I don't use it because I don't have a problem being able to close the pins. Oh, that's my pointer. I'm going, what is that blue mark in the middle of you there, Daniel? It was my mouse. It was my mouse. And you're going to pin all the ways, which this is the actual end of.
Okay, so like this right here, where they're like 4 fingers across from each other.
That's fine. Yep.
Okay,
That is fine, but you're going to want to go all the way from the middle up to the edge of the quilt on the
okay.
one. And when you in hand quilting, when you hand quilt, you also start in the middle of your work of your quilt and work. Depending, okay, when you do it in a hoop, you do. If you're putting it on a quilt frame, you won't be starting in the middle. You would be doing that the same as if you were on a long arm. You work from the one edge and roll it. If you have a rolling one, yep. And roll it. But when it's in the hoop, you start from the middle. And June says she's usually with T quilts. Well, I'm glad that you're still here, except I know there are many that are able to watch, 3 different ones at the same time. I can't do that.
Yeah, Andrea does that quite a bit, and I don't know how the world that poor girl trying to keep
I,
focus on it.
I can't do that.
I
But
there are
Andrea,
some days I do good just to focus in on one.
yeah, some days I'm lucky to focus on what I'm doing. But anyway, Andrea says, good idea. I have an empty Parmesan cheese container. I knew I saved for something. Yes. Yes, I have about 3 of them because I do a lot of hand quilting. So and they don't all get done before I start another one. So it's like you go to baste another one. It's like, oh, I don't have enough. I don't have enough.
Oh, you start something without completely finishing one.
Why do
Never.
you think I have so many whips? But uh, and Debbie, I know she likes the tool to open and close the pins. It it
Hey,
doesn't
you should bring out that
it
tool sometime and
I
show us.
I haven't seen it yet. I've got it, but I couldn't. It's not where it's supposed to be.
Oh,
I don't know where it went to. But I know exactly where it's supposed to be, but it wasn't there. So now the next thing you want to do when you're all the way out to that edge is you want to go back to your center, and now you're going to work out to the other edge, the other
oh,
direction.
so like I'm already doing.
I can't see what you're doing. Is that the center of your quilt?
This is my center.
Okay.
So I
Yep.
had already went up. I came down a little bit, and now
Yep.
I'm going off to the other side.
See, I'm not going down because I can't reach the down because that part's not on my board. So
Yeah,
that one,
I went down as far as I could without going off.
yep. So now you want to go both sides out.
Ooh, this fabric is not easy to go through.
That's the pins that won't go through. It's not.
No, and it's really thin fabric. Like I can see my fingers behind it.
You might have, I don't know what brand they were, but sometimes you can get a dull safety pin.
I don't know. I mean, I can get it and everything. It's just taking a little bit of force. Then plus I'm also scared of stabbing the desk.
Oh, yeah. That's why I always do it on top of, well, I have a folding table that I normally do it on larger ones, and I use clamps and clamp it and move it. But and then when you've gone both directions that way, then you're going to go diagonally out to the corners.
Okay.
Always making sure that you smooth it out as you go.
Yes, ma'am.
And you want a big bite of fabric on your pin, not a little, because it'll move back and forth on the pin if you do it that way.
What you they're talking about, Quasar?
I haven't heard Quasar tonight.
It's because I give him a nice big handful of treats.
And I'm not going to be able to go all the way to that corner because I have to untape and move mine to be able to do that. But you get the gist of how this is done. And I can't get those two safety pins to unmarry themselves right now. They want to be stuck on each other. And like I said, you don't have to worry about where these pins are because the part that you put in the hoop, I know a lot of people sit there and they're quilting with their pins. Well, once it is in the hoop, it's all stabilized within the hoop. Any pins that are there, you can remove out of your way so they're not in your way. And you will find that when you are putting your hoop on, once in a while there is a pin in the way of where the hoop goes together. You will want
Uh-huh.
you will want to remove those. You don't want to try to put your hoop over them. You'll see where they are, and you just take those out of the way when you're hooping it, which we will
Oh,
get.
okay.
We will get to that part, hopefully, with yours. I'm just going to show putting the other one that is all pinned back into the hoop. Oops. Running into stuff out here tonight. But once it is all pinned, you will have, yeah, you'll have safety pins in all the way around on it. I just don't have any in this middle section because that part is already quilted, so the pins are not there anymore.
Ah, I see, Senor Ita.
Michelle says that she is off to bed. I will watch the rest of this tomorrow. Okay, Michelle, thank you very much.
Have a good night,
Have a
Michelle.
good sleep. And June Hansen says, I just have my phone, so not happening.
Think
Oh,
she's referring to watch on multiple
watching the
devices.
other ones. Yeah. Okay. And Lori says, I just emptied one at dinner. Oh, okay. Well, you're all set to go then, Lori. And Joyce is saying good night to Michelle. Okay. All righty. But see what you would do, because I don't have a big enough area, which is if you had a big quilt, you wouldn't have a big enough area either. Once this part is pinned, all you have to do is untape what you taped, and you can carefully slide it up or down, whichever direction it is that you need to go. On this, I'm going to need to go up because I want to do that center first, and then I will go back to those edges that I didn't get. But I can carefully now slide those layers up that are already pinned. And what I would do then is go under and I would tape the other part again and then be smoothing it all out taut from where it is pinned, and that's all stabilized down. And that is the way that you would do the rest of that.
Okay. Yep, which is at the point where I'm at now.
So you've got over half of yours pinned though, right?
Yep,
Or
I
not?
got the top half, and then I got one pin right here of the lower half.
It looks like you got a big empty spot there with no pins.
But right here.
No, above there. Right,
Oh,
yeah, right there and there. You have to pin on, you have to, where that diagonal is, you need to put pins in between your straight and your diagonal. Sorry.
okay.
And you have where your pins are, it looks like it's poofed and not flat. The diagonal ones, is that just the way it's looking on camera? Is there fabric that's poofed up in those?
Talking about right in here.
Other
Or
corner. There, yeah, right in there.
I think it's just because even if I pull it out straight, I think it's because of the fact that it's because if
You might
I pull it
you
out
might
like
you
that right
might have a
there.
little bit too much fabric in your safety pin.
Oh,
It's making it pull. You want it to be laying flat. So don't take quite as big a bite of fabric. Take a I think a doggy just fell off the ramp of the deck. Excuse me.
I'll just be here hanging out with the pins.
That's one way of letting somebody know you want in. Did you fall? Oh, did you fall? It's quite the kind of knock at the door. It's like, whoa, well, I fell off into the planter off the ramp.
Oh,
Oh, and Leanne is here from Pastry Queen's Farm Adventures. Hello, everyone.
hey, Leanna.
A great week. I'm heading to bed, but wanted to say hi to you and Donnell and give you the thumbs up. Thank you. Much appreciated, Leanne. Thank you very much.
I know you can't see me, but hi.
Love your green shamrock bit going on too.
Yes, that is so pretty.
And Maritza is here from Maritza's Yarns and Crafts. Hola, great to see you again, Maritza. But
I'm trying
sorry,
to get that to
had to give the poor little boy a little bit of loving when you hear that clank and know that, okay, that was the planter on the edge of the ramp, which means he fell off the edge of the ramp there. Not funny, I guess. It's not a long drop. It's just a little short drop. It just means that he stepped off the edge of it into the planter. He didn't get hurt.
Yes, Leanna, he does look like a teddy bear.
Yes, he does. I think he needs his first haircut, but I just hate to do it. Oh, I will have to call though and get an appointment before my husband thinks that he's going to do it. No. Not, no, no, not gonna happen. Oh, I don't want to be the poor groomer that gives him his first haircut though, because he's a handful.
I'm sure they're used to it though.
Yeah. Oh, this is showing pink now instead there. I put my hand on it and it turned back to red. It's like, oh, color coded there. I was gonna say, it's not pink, it's red. Oh, so hopefully you're getting close there and we'll show you how to get it in the hoop. Who would ever know there's a right way and a wrong way to put it in the hoop, huh?
Right? Let me tell y'all, there's a wrong way to do it.
Yes, that's when I noticed, and I thought, oh, I never thought of that. Danielle did have her. She looked at it. I'm going. You've got your quilt and your hoop backwards. She said, "What?" I said, "It's on
Well,
a
it didn't come with
panel."
the instructions.
No, it doesn't.
I was like, okay, this is universal.
Oh. And thank you, everyone that's commenting on WHIP. And it is spelled just like the quilting. I know there are a few that put it whip as in a, horse whip, but is whip like the quilting term. Work in progress. And he is. Capital W, capital I, capital P.
Okay, is that looking any better, Mama?
Yes,
Okay.
much better. It looks funny seeing safety pins on a plain piece of fabric instead of there being patchwork or something on it. Oh, but much, much easier for beginner quilters to learn on a plain piece and get the practice of the rocking hand quilting stitch down before they go to an actual quilt top.
Oh, definitely.
And you can use it as your practice piece, for a while. Since there's quite a bit on there to do. You can start by quilting on it a little bit before you go and start quilting on your other quilt that you're working on.
Yep. Yeah, I actually try and put that one off to the side inside of a box to save until I get this one done. So that
Yep.
way then I can be able to have more knowledge of what I'm doing before I jump back onto that.
Right. So what I always suggest then is that you just have something little. You can just do a sandwich like that, only even smaller, just to have off to the side because every day your first stitches are not good stitches. Let's put it that way. You need to warm up your hand just like a pianist or a singer warms up their voice. They don't start off with those first notes coming out very nice. And that's what will happen with your hand quilting stitch too. So if you just take a few stitches to warm up on a little practice piece and then go to your quilt and quilt, you will find out that your stitches look much better and more consistent.
Okay. Poor little Loki. He's out there pacing back and forth at the door. I can hear him.
Oh, okay. It looks like, oh, I can't tell because I can't see the edge of your quilt, but you look good to go to be able to put it in the hoop.
Yep, I got my top half is pretty much completely all pinned. Just got a
It's,
couple more
it's
pins I
so I'm
gotta do
not
up
so
over
I'm
here.
not seeing the bottom half of your quilt is what you're saying.
The bottom half is not even pinned at all,
Okay.
other than this
It
one
should it
pin
should
right
be good
here.
enough to show you how to put it in the hoop and then you can take it out and finish that part. Because that
Sounds
part's
good.
not going to be probably be much in your hoop anyway. So that you'll be able to be ready for next week. Which I have my hand quilting, which you can't even see the edge of it here. I have my hand quilting lap hoop here that I am putting it in. And I think I'm going to go ahead and just show myself because it's not showing in there. So if we look at me over here instead, you will be able to see me putting that in there better. If I can get the stuff out of my way. But of course, you need to take your hoop apart. And you take the top one off. The outer one is the top. And I'll wait for you there,
Okay.
Danya.
Yep, just a couple more pieces of tape and then I'll be ready to go.
And Stir says, went to make hot chocolate, and her husband captured her. And Andrea says, hi, Leanne. Hope you are doing well. Sleep well if you are still here. I was away from the chat when you came in. Yes, that happens.
Okie dokie. So we got the hoop.
Looking to see where my needle is here. I forgot I had a needle in here. I'm turning it around.
Okay, so are we removing the top away from this or the bottom away
Yes.
from this?
Take the top, the outer ring is the one you remove.
Okay.
There's an outer and an inside. That is the top or the outer ring.
Okay, so I put my half necklace on.
Okay. And I was going to tell you, when I am rehooping and moving, it always comes off and it goes right around my neck. That's where I hold it while I move my quilt in. So yes, I will do the same. So we are like, now you're going to take and put the center, lay your quilt sandwich across that other part of the hoop so that the center is in the middle of your hoop. And I'll tilt that there so you can see. And you want to kind of try and keep the top to where that bulky part is of this bit. So it's kind of out of your way at the top.
Okay.
Okay. So when you've got that, just kind of make sure that it's laid there pretty good flat. Don't worry about it. And this is where you're going to find there's going to be, okay, a few safety pins. And if it's tight, loosen your outer ring more. Because now you got the layers of the quilt and everything on there. If it won't go on, you just need to loosen it more until it does. And that's where you will feel if there's any safety pins that are in between those two, you'll want to remove that out of the way. Don't try and squish them in between the hoop. You should be able to see mine there to see how that looks. And you want the screw part on, if you're right-handed, you want that on the right-hand side. If you're left-handed, on the left-hand side. It makes it a little easier. Sorry. I just noticed that. Makes it a little easier to work that screw, unless you're ambidextrous.
No, my left hand is pretty much useless.
Okay. And you don't want that real tight. You want it in there now so that that it's holding it. Don't worry about that part yet. You want to make sure that it's in your hoop and it's holding it. You know the next step. Don't go to that step yet, because you want to take that, and on the underside, you want to take your hand and make sure that everything is feeling smooth underneath there. That you don't have anything caught or anything that you're not aware of.
Nope, everything looks good.
Okay, so now you're going to semi-tighten your hoop, not tighten it all the way up, because you want your quilt top to be able to move a little bit. You want it tight enough so you're not getting any, creases or anything in there. But now you are going to take your hand and you're going to hold on to your hoop so that you got both of them. And you're going to just take your hand like this, flare it out, put it in the middle, and you are going to push down so that your quilt loosens up in that hoop.
So like you said before, like a kitty cat is sitting on it.
Yes, you want it like a little kitten got up there and laid and took a nap, so that it moves up and down like this, and not on the bottom of your hoop.
Yes.
That is how it is supposed to be in the hoop.
Thank you, Tracy. Yes, I know. She's awesome.
You had it more like you were doing a counted cross stitch project.
That's how I thought I was supposed to look at it, as a cross stitch.
Okay, so that you are ready. There's my notes sitting under there on that. Well, you can't see that camera right now anyway, but yeah, so we
To
got
anybody that hasn't seen me yet, hi.
she's been the little hand model down there for most of the evening. But yeah, luckily we got through and to the part that we wanted to be for next week, because next week we will actually start the actual hand quilting on it. And any part that you weren't able to complete, or if you need a little bit more pinning, you saw how to put that in, Donnell. You can take it back out, finish that pinning.
Yep, I still got to pin this entire lower half, so yeah. I'll be taking it out,
and pin that lower part and then put it back in your hoop, and you will be ready to go.
Yes,
Or
ma'am.
you guess what? So you don't have any homework because you were able to complete it
Other
in.
than finish pinning.
Yes, you were able to complete it at school today. So, yay, awesome. But very quickly before we get off, if anybody has any last minute questions, I will go ahead and see if I can answer those for you before we end this. And hopefully we'll see you all back next week, same time, same station for the actual learning the hand quilting. We're going to rock it because I do the rocking stitch. And so we will be rocking it and doing the actual hand stitching next week. And so Danielle's going to have lots of
Awesome.
fun with that. It says,
Thank you, Mama Debbie.
Tracy says, Danielle, you have a wonderful teacher to learn. I guess I shouldn't have read that. To learn from. I am going to bed and will watch the rerun. I was up until 4 in the morning. I don't think I went to bed until about 4 in the morning. But, and
Y'all are
Sturz,
some party animals.
I wasn't partying. Stur says my runner will be 15 inches wide. Have a 14-inch hoop. Can that work? Yes, you just want to make sure that your backing and your batting is, like that 8 inches larger than what your top is, because that's what will hold it and make it so you can move it in your hoop to the areas that it will still work. Can I add something temporary to make the project bigger? Do they make small quilting hoops? Yes, they do make smaller. You can use a 12-inch hoop. My runner will be 15 inches wide. Yeah, that's okay. You just move it from the center. That's no problem at all with a 14-inch hoop. That'll work. You'll have no problem. You just want your batting and your backing to be larger than your top. And then you can move it back and forth in your hoop. No problem whatsoever, Stir. And Debbie says, you did good, Danielle. Proud of you. Oh, awesome. She did good. That must mean I did good, hopefully.
Yes, you did a very good job. Thank you, Mama.
You did very, very good. Proud of you, Danielle. And says, Jean, you're an awesome teacher. Aw, thank you.
Now,
And
the
Beverly,
tricky part's going to become when it becomes trying to get me to coordinate the stitching and the rocking.
yep, that's the hard part. You did the easy part tonight. So the hard part's
The
coming up,
draw,
and
the drawing
it's
different
all in.
shapes is the fun part.
Yep, it's all in memory now. The hard part is actually teaching somebody because I can't show the bottom part and you can't get up close and personal, to see that.
Yeah.
That's the hard part of teaching online, but you'll get it, Danielle. You'll get it. We'll work with it. And June says good night all. Beverly says good night. Joyce is saying good night. Stir says great, thanks. And Melody says good night, everyone. So I believe that is a wrap. And I hope you have enjoyed this. And again, we will see you back here next week for series 2 of the hand quilting step by step, as Jean teaches Danielle to hand quilt. So thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Take care. We will see you. Bye-bye.